Hi everyone, I'm Max from Neural DSP and I'm joined today by my wonderful friend Rabea’ Massaad.
Hello.
Today we're going to show you some basic overview of Quad Cortex and also a development preview of CoreOS 3.0, a long-awaited and much anticipated plugin compatibility update. This update introduces plugin devices, plugin compatibility, as well as some other features such as sidechaining, some extra new devices, and some general quality of life improvements. We're super excited to finally be launching this. Feels like we've been talking about it forever. But yeah, to kind of start everything off, I want to give us a quick overview of some of the thinking and some of the design and features of Quad Cortex and why we think it's the best product in its class. So this is Quad Cortex. It was born from kind of a frustration with other products in the market where we wanted something that sounded amazing but was portable and actually had a seamless user experience, something that was a genuine joy to use. Neural DSP's whole mission is to make products that allow musicians to be creative alongside technology. That's what we're here to do, and hopefully Quad Cortex allows us to do that. So, Quad Cortex is navigated principally by this large, beautiful touchscreen here. And we brought very familiar gestures from the world of smartphones, tablets, and computing. So it should be a really familiar and seamless experience. In addition to the touchscreen, where we can simply tap items on the menu, we also have these foot switches, which obviously when Quad Cortex is on the floor, are super robust and you can step on them to make changes and adjust things without having to lean down. But not only are these foot switches, they're also actually rotary encoders. So you can edit your sounds in a very natural way. And there's a great advantage to this in that by using these, you can still see what's happening on the screen. If you place your hand on the screen and edit a control, your finger has to obscure that control. It's kind of hard to see. But more so, this allows you to mix with your ears rather than your eyes. You can change and edit a sound, and if Rabea plays now, I'll maybe not do it with the gain because that would be hilarious. But let's say I want to edit our mid control here. So I can do that mixing with my ears and not looking at the screen and trying to appease a notion to set on one number or another. So it's a really intuitive and powerful experience. Everything else is led by touch gestures, so we can double tap things to disengage them or re-engage them. Oh. This is quite hard to see when not looking directly at the screen. We can tap and hold to bring up additional menus, such as our splitters and mixers function. Or we can swipe up to reveal our gig view, or down to reveal our I/O. And the way that the UX has been designed with Quad Cortex, everything is only a couple of clicks away, so you don't have to spend a long time menu diving. It is all super apparent, very in front of you, and you can get back to this home screen or the grid in no time at all. Let's talk more about the kind of technology under the hood, the software, what's inside and what's going on. So at Neural DSP, we use a number of kind of pioneering modeling techniques. We use things such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, synaptic modeling, and we even have an in-house robotics team. All of that to say, we're using really cutting-edge technology to try and enhance how modeling of audio DSP devices is handled. And the result of that is our amplifier models particularly. So I want to quickly talk about how we kind of navigate Quad Cortex, how you can set it up, how you can use it. I have my Quad Cortex set up in the moment in preset mode, which I can cycle by tapping here, or when Quad Cortex is on the floor, we can push the bank up and bank down and tap tempo buttons, and it will cycle the modes, again allowing for a hands-free experience. And what these modes refer to is what our foot switches are controlling. So at the moment in preset mode, this will cycle through different presets within a bank. And we'll go on and we'll explain the other modes more in greater detail shortly. For now though, let's hear how it sounds. So this is our factory preset bank, and we take great pride in actually trying to make usable, musical and inspiring factory presets. So this is the first one. When you buy a Quad Cortex, this is what will load up. Brit 2203. Nice. And so, to show you what's going on with the foot switches and give you a visual indication of where we're going to go and what we're going to move around, I'm going to swipe up to reveal our gig view, which we focused on really classic amp sounds from a variety of different places. So, we've heard something British. How about we hear something from the US? And how about something from Japan? California. And lastly, something from Germany. So, an interesting demonstration here is, I'm moving between different presets, all loading up different amplifiers, different effects, and in different signal configurations. But because of the accuracy of our models, you can actually, it's hard to describe in audio, but you can certainly feel the difference in the amplifiers. And I think there's two in this bank that actually demonstrate that really well. So if you just play for a little bit on that diesel sound again, you can hear how the sag is and how it takes a longer time to react to the guitar. It's like a great, obviously a great high gain sound, but describe it as like chewy maybe would be a good way to describe that.
Because the real amp is, the real diesel amp is chewy.
Which is part of their thing, and that's awesome. If we would go to something like an EVH, for example, they're much more immediate and clinical. So let's hear the difference.
Straight away it's tighter. Like you couldn't do that on this one.
No.
Well, you could, but it would be. It's not as fast.
Yeah, not as fast, not as immediate. So it really actually affects how you approach playing. Anyway, presets on Quad Cortex should be thought as similar to like an entire guitar rig in the traditional sense. So a pedal board, an amp or two or three or four, different signal routing. You could even think of it as like a different room in a studio or something like that. It's equivalent of changing a lot of gear very quickly. Well, unfortunately, that comes inherently with a very slight audio cap. It's actually the quickest in the market, but it's still not quick enough for us. So we've designed a couple of ways to kind of mitigate this. To show you what I'm talking about, if you just play, I'll move between some presets. So that's very quick, but obviously not ideal for playing live. You don't want to have those small gaps. So there are two other modes that allow us to move seamlessly and change sounds within a preset itself. The first one I want to show you is Stomp mode. And so Stomp mode turns each of our encoders here into an on-off switch that you can assign to individual blocks. So for example, this one controls an overdrive, that one controls a modulation effect, that one engages the looper. So it's super useful. And this kind of turns Cortex into more of a classic kind of pedal board, I would say. So in that vein, we've made a preset that demonstrates this feature really well, called Classic Pedal Board. So if I tap the name of our preset here to go into our directory, I can't quite remember where Classic Pedal Board is, but not to worry, we can simply tap the search icon, we can type.
Upside down.
Typing upside down actually is a challenge. My lovely assistant here knows how to spell though, so that's good.
There we go. So classic, and then we have the preset there.
So being able to index and search everything within Cortex is super useful. You don't have to commit where everything is to memory, which if you're someone like me who practices cognitive minimalism, is super handy.
I like that.
So here we are, classic pedal board. Again, I'm going to pull up the gig view because gig view reflects what the different modes are doing. So if I cycle through the modes, this changes to show you what your foot switches are controlling. So this classic pedal board, each of these foot switches, or the icons on the screen, is engaging and disengaging individual blocks within the preset. So if Rabea plays and I add more and more blocks, you can hear it's truly gapless, but it also, the sound variation you can achieve within one preset is massive. So that gives you quite a lot of options with Stomp mode, just to use Quad Cortex in a way that you might be quite familiar with, whilst also being super powerful. Now I've showed a very easy demo of that, but if I wanted to assign multiple like stomps to one foot switch, that's also possible in Stomp mode. It simply controls the bypass state of those devices, and you can even have two devices set up on one stomp in alternate states, so it acts as like an A/B switch. Really flexible, really powerful, super useful. Let's move on to scene mode. So where Stomp mode lets you control individual blocks, scene mode takes this just a step or two further. So now that we're in scene mode, I'll reveal the gig view again. And what scene mode does is allows you to control every individual parameter of every single block that has been loaded into the preset. So some examples of things you can do: you can scene assign a gain control on your amplifier, have it change wildly. You can change whether things are in mono or stereo. You can change the phase. You can change mic placement on a cabinet. You can, if you can control something within a preset, you can scene assign it and you can control it instantly. I make a joke often, it's a bit like if Stomp mode is turning QC into a really classic pedal board, then scene mode is the equivalent of having a really big, weird shaped foot that can turn things on and off, change things around, twist knobs, and has maybe 3 thumbs. It's super useful. So, to show you kind of what scene mode is all about, there's another great preset that we've made. This time, I actually remember where it is. It's at 4A. And it's called 1 Amp Does It All. And we made this preset in the hopes that it would demonstrate, you know, just how much tonal variation you can get out of one amplifier just using scenes. So we can go from a slight crunch. With a bit of delay. Moved up a gain stage, but we're still on only 1 amp. So here's how that crunch sounds dry. I think we can go up another gain stage. And we can take that into like firm lead tone territory. And back to our slight crunch. And if I open up our amplifier, what you can see here is when you open a default amplifier, which I can do here, when something loads, you can see all of the controls here are red, and these are indicated here on the foot switches so that you can twist and change them. What you'll find in this amp that we've loaded here, some of these controls are white and they have this little scene assign indicator icon. And what that means is these controls are now in a kind of autosave state, and as we move through the scenes by pushing the foot switches, they'll kind of move and change slightly. So between scenes A and B, we're like losing a little bit of gain, changing some other things here. And if I wanted to go all the way down to scene H, we're even controlling the bypass state of that amp. If I just re-engage it, say I want the gain all the way up, master all the way up, between these two, I can do that. And those changes will all happen instantaneously with no audio gaps. And it really allows you to apply some super creative thinking and change a lot of sounds on the fly very quickly.
It's probably, for me, the most useful mode if I'm gigging or if I'm doing any kind of gig. I use scene mode exclusively for that reason.
Yeah, you can bypass, engage, change stereo allocation, like anything that we can control in any of these blocks. You could change your EQ, you could change, you know, your cab state. You can change anything about this preset instantaneously with no lag. It's something that actually is completely possible, completely impossible in the physical realm.
Even the output blocks, any signal processing on
Literally.
the unit you can scene assign.
Yeah, to kind of demonstrate, you know, something that opens like interesting creative doors as well as interesting utility doors for, you know, testing, finding different tones. So there's a great preset I'd like to show called California Dream. And what this preset is two identical setups of stereo Mesa Boogie amps. These also allow you to individually solo out each amplifier from the stereo rig and make it mono so you can hear what tone changes you're making. So if I start here, this will be one amp in mono. And another. And now those two amps in stereo. But maybe we don't like those two amps. Maybe we want to try another amp. Or another. maybe we want to try them in stereo. Setting something like this up physically is nigh on impossible, and being able to like shoot out tones in that way. So maybe we want to do something more creative, more fun. Let's see. In Bank 6, there's one called Toxic Synth.
Ugh.
And this is a super interesting preset. As you can see, there's lots going on here. Let's get as close to jamming as Rabea and I ever do, if you want to start off the party. One of the more creative uses of like things that you could do. I don't know where you would use that in the real world, other than to demonstrate Quad Cortex and put your friend on the spot.
Good, like epic Guitar Hero intro at a gig, though, you know.
Oh, 100%.
Just you on your own.
It's just me.
Yeah.
So, today we're doing something way more exciting than just showing you Quad Cortex. We're super, super proud to be able to show you a kind of development preview and beta build of CoreOS 3.0. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is an update that introduces plugin compatibility, plugin devices, as well as a number of other functionalities that we'll get to and we'll discuss in greater detail. To kick things off though, let's just check out some plugin sounds. So if I tap to go into my directory, if you are familiar with Quad Cortex, you'll notice this has been slightly redesigned and made a little bit nicer, but we have this drop-down menu in the top left, and this plugin presets looks like it could be interesting. Now with CoreOS 3.0 we're launching with two plugins first. We're launching with Archetype Gojira and Archetype Pliny X. More plugins will be released in coming weeks and months. This will happen very, very fast, so we're super excited to get more out. But for now, let's hear how Archetype Pliny sounds. So if I click Archetype Pliny, you can see this comes preloaded with all of the factory included presets, not only from Pliny and Neural DSP, but also from our artist roster. So if you have favourite sounds among those, they're already here. Let's hear something from the man himself. Ooh.
Sounds very Pliny.
Oh yeah. So you'll notice a couple of different things going on our user interface here. A couple of new things, a couple of different things. But before I get into that, we should probably explain, why we've chosen this route. So if you're familiar with our plugins, and you're excited about this coming to Quad Cortex, you might be wondering, the plugins on the computer have a beautiful skeuomorphic design that features great amps, great textures, really, really beautiful. We try to make them as artistic as we possibly can because we want to represent the artists we work with a beautiful product. So why don't we bring that to Quad Cortex? Well, the answer quite simply is that wouldn't be a fantastic user experience. Quad Cortex is designed for professional use. Like we joke that this is not a toy, it's for grown-ups, as fun as it is. But if we had our graphic display from the plugins on here, then actually each of the individual controls might be hard to see. It wouldn't be great in a gig situation. Some of them, the backgrounds are white, yours are purple, and it just wouldn't be very useful. Also, on the computer, our plugins are a fixed signal path. We have locked the signal path, and that's it. So the idea is that it takes away some kind of decision fatigue, and you get what you get. Quad Cortex is not built with that philosophy in mind. We want people to have as many limitless tonal possibilities as possible, and the only way to achieve that is with the signal flow. And so we wanted to include all of our plugin devices individually, so that not only can you use your plugins as you know them from your computer, from your favorite sessions, but you can also mix and match devices. You can change things. You can move them about in ways that you just can't do. That is the joy of a device like this. So what you're seeing here represented is exactly what the signal flow of Archetype Pliny truly is under the hood, with some kind of new additions. So you'll notice that any device that is specific to a plugin has this little indicator at the top. Oh, I'll just put that away. It has this little indicator on the top of the block to let you know what plugin it's from. But you'll also notice this little diagram here, which indicates that we are sidechaining from this device. And I think actually it's the doubler that we're sidechaining to. So now we've introduced the sidechaining functionality. You can sidechain things like noise gates or envelope filters or compressors.
Yeah.
Obviously. Like, what other things can you sidechain?
Yeah.
Again, just giving the user more and more and more options to create tones with. So yeah, let's. We've heard a preset from Pliny, but we've included all of our artist presets here, including, I think, a familiar name here.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's wicked. So, super exciting to have plugin presets on, super exciting to have plugin devices on. However, we've heard Archetype Pliny. There is another plugin that we're launching with. Archetype Gojira, which we've dubbed the heaviest plugin in the universe. Now super light. But yeah, let's hear sounds from Gojira. And we've been enjoying this JD Rhythm 7.
Weird.
Sick.
Good.
Yeah. So, we've heard some preset sounds from the plugins. As I mentioned before, though, I think the best way to really demonstrate and, instill some excitement in you about what you can actually do and show you some of the possibilities that this brings to Quad Cortex is just to build something that you can use. So if you have a Quad Cortex in CoreOS 3.0 and licenses to these plugins, you can make the sound that we're about to make. So I'm just going to go into our expanded menu in the top right here and hit Create New. And this will give us a blank, brand new preset, a blank canvas of tone.
Uncharted territory of tonal delight.
An uncharted territory, yeah. We have yet to write the map on this journey. So what I want to make is a very utilitarian kind of gig-ready preset. So to add a new block, we simply tap on the grid. And you can see we have this new icon here, which says Plugins. I tap this, I'm then presented Archetype Gojira X and Archetype Pliny X. I think for a different flavor, let's go Archetype Gojira and choose their clean. pretty chimey, but all amps must have a cab.
Needs a cab, yeah.
So let's pick a factory cab because we know there's some we really like. Let's see. This is quite hard to do. Leave it on the side. I go cream.
There you go, yeah.
Not bad. I'm not going to dive too deep into like tweaking the sound. I want to get the kind of vibe all there first, then we'll sculpt later. Speaking of vibe, probably want some ambience on this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go for a reverb, if I can do it right. And I want this lush plate. Roll that mix back just a little bit. And then pre-delay.
Yeah, bring that down.
Probably bring that down. And let's pair that with a nice delay. Let's pair that with a nice delay from Architect Gojira. Just rolling this mix back a little bit. We'll bring that feedback. Nice. Let's use some compression.
Let's.
So let's see, Joule, one of our favorite compressors. And already that's brought those dynamics well in. In no time at all, we're in the ballpark with the clean. I want to take this using scenes into like another gain stage, into crunch. And there's a couple of different ways we can do this. I think I'm going to keep using the same amplifier. So what I'm going to do is scene assign our gain control. And does this have a master? It doesn't have a master. Let's scene assign this bright control, and we'll also scene assign the output because I'm gonna add more gain, which given that this doesn't have a master, I'm assuming is going to also add more volume.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be able to trim that back using our output. So if I move to scene B, and if you just play, and I'll add more gain. I can seamlessly switch between scene A and B to kind of match those levels. I do want a little volume boost from moving into a crunch tone.
Mm-hmm. How about the bright?
Yeah, let's see what this bright switch is saying. So cool.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really is. That amp actually crunches up really nice. I think I really want that jump into crunch to be very, not dramatic, but definitely like authoritative. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to add a overdrive pedal. And we've been loving this ephemeral ray. So let's hear how that sounds. Definitely like a crunch lead tone. So if I go back and we hear a clean tone, spotted an issue. I have to scene assign this bypass state on our overdrive pedal, and now there's a super handy shortcut that when you're on the grid you can double tap to disengage blocks. So now, because I've scene assigned this will re-engage and disengage. So we have a clean tone. just to control this, control the volume jump you're hearing, we can go in, if we tap and hold on our output here, we get our lane output controls, and I can tap and hold our volume control here to scene assign that, and now I can monitor, if you play Rabea'. Yeah, so I can see that I want to drop this a little tiny bit, a few dBs. So that allows me to balance my levels within the preset itself. So the next step that I want to do, we've got a clean tone, we've got a crunch tone. We said that the other two non-negotiables were a heavy rhythm tone in stereo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build that on a separate row and maintain that as its own kind of signal. So if I go back into our lane output control for this one, so scene A is our clean, scene B is our crunch, scene C is going to be our rhythm tone. So what I actually want to do is scene assign this mute control. Go to scene C, mute this. Scene D is going to be our lead, I'm going to mute that. So now this lane is only active on our clean and our crunch tones. And I'm going to choose on our input here on row 3, input 1. And then on the output, multi-out. And I'm just going to do the inverse of this. I'm going to scene assign this. And I'm going to mute on scene B and on scene A. We want to choose an amp. Now, something that you can't do within the plugins is set up a stereo tone. Like you can set up 2 different tracks and you can build that within your DAW, but not within the plugins themselves. And also, that makes it that you can't mix different amps from different plugins together. That's something that you can only do kind of here. So, what would Archetype Plenty and Archetype Gojira sound like in stereo?
Beefy.
Let's find out together, shall we? So back into our plugin devices, back into Archetype Gojira, and this time we want the hot amp. Delicious. Let's add a cab. It's really hard to read.
There it is.
There it is. Because this is high gain, we can make use of another feature. If I tap and hold our input, I'm just going to engage this noise gate. There's still a little bit of noise there. So what I'm going to do is make use of a new feature. I'm going to go into our utility section here, and I'm going to grab this adaptive gate SC, which stands for sidechain. I'm going to go into this gate. I'm going to leave the noise reduction at 30%. I don't want to reduce it too much, but I do want to select a different input source. And I'm going to sidechain this to input 1. And so now this noise gate works based on Rabea's guitar signal, not based on the amp signal, making it much tighter, much cleaner. Which means I can then control my tone as I want. Let's see how that goes. Nice. Something's missing though. We said we were going to do this in stereo. So let's do that. I'm going to tap and hold in between rows 3 and 4 to bring up our splitters and mixers menu. And I'm going to choose a split point just before that amp. And then as I want to make use of the same gate and the same cab, I'm going to bring our mix back here. And because it's a stereo tone, I'm going to pan hard left and hard right. Now, let's just go into our plug-in devices again. This time choose Archetype Plenty, and we'll go for Archetype Plenty lead. Let me just open this amp up just a little bit. A little bit more gain. A little bit less output. So if we open up our output lane again, as Rabea and I are sat a bit off axis, we have to kind of trust each other and collaborate a little on making sure our stereo image is actually balanced. So if Rabea plays, we can simply see here on the levels where we need to add signal. Looks like the left requires a little bit more, which I'm sure is this one, so let's see. I'm just going to bring that level down just a little bit. And I'm just going to tighten up both of those amps with the good old classic tube screamer. Where are we? He's called Green 808. And I'm not even going to listen to this, I'm going to do exactly what I think is going to work. I'm going to crank the level.
It's funny how everyone does the same thing with a tube screamer on high gain.
Trying to make the tubes scream.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sounds great.
So, to kind of recap, the American Beauty clean tone, crunchy noodles, a heavy rhythm tone, in kind of no time at all, using multiple different instances from Archetype Plenty, Archetype Gojira, some factory devices, some side chaining. Super interesting. One last step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our stereo rhythm tone. I'm going to collapse that into mono. And then we should also probably add some ambience. So I'm just going to copy our time-based devices from above and paste them below. Save me a little bit of time because we like how they sound already. So I can simply copy and paste those there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into each of them and I'm just going to scene assign this bypass state by tapping and holding on the bypass. And now, on our rhythm tone, I can turn them off. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to scene assign the bypass of both of our noise gates here. I obviously want these on our rhythm tone, but because it's a lead, we want access to all of the different noises on the guitar, good or bad. No pressure.
Mostly good.
Mostly good, hopefully. And then the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to tap and hold to bring up our splitters and mixers. Go on our mix. And I'm going to scene assign pan B and pan A. And now when I go to scene D, a cool shortcut is you can double tap a parameter to reset it to a default value. So if I double tap pan A, pan B, set them to center. Get rid of our gates. Now we disengage the gates, engage the time-based devices, and collapse everything to mono. And just as one last thing, perfect. So, one final recap, and then we'll close this all out. In kind of no time at all, we've gone from absolutely nothing to a clean tone, using devices from Archetype Gojira, Archetype Plenty, or is it just Gojira? Using devices from Archetype Gojira, crunch tone, mixing in factory tones, a stereo heavy rhythm tone featuring both Archetype Gojira and Archetype Pliny. And then we can even take Bia to the top of a mountain with a big lead. In absolutely no time at all. So that concludes this this demo, this kind of overview of plugin compatibility. We're just going to save this preset. I'll let Rabea name it, whatever he likes, while I close this out. So we've talked about plugin compatibility, we've overviewed the kind of design and overall ethos and how we look at Quad Cortex, and hopefully built something like super exciting, super inspiring, and shown that you can do all of this just with factory devices on QC. You don't have to have any, special IRs or any kind of captures. We're doing this. This is a stock Quad Cortex that we picked up here. So yeah, super exciting. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for taking the time, and yeah, thank you to Music Force for having us.
Thank you.